You know, when I got started in this business, I was 22 years old. I didn't know a lot. I learned on the go. I learned in a crash course. We were naive enough to listen and be teachable. So there's several things that I think I can share with you that I think are critical pieces to building your own business, to building a Juice Plus virtual franchise that can fund your life today and fund yours and your family's life into the future and generations to come. So what would you teach your 20-year-old self? These are some big principles. You know what I'd learned is that thirst and hunger, I want you to think it, thirst and hunger are above my pay grade. You see, in the beginning, I thought I could not just lead a horse to water, but I thought I could make him drink. What does that mean in business? Well, someone would get in our business and you knew how amazing they could be, but when they didn't want to put forth the effort, they didn't want to invest the time, they just were stuck somewhere else. They were planted in bad soil, a great person planted in bad soil. I had to realize I couldn't change the soil. I couldn't make them thirsty or hungry. I could set the table, I could fill the water basin up, but I couldn't make that horse drink. And I had to learn that. Someone told me SW4. Have you ever heard that? SW4, some will, some won't, so what, someone's waiting. Instead of trying to make the person right in front of me that thirsty or hungry person, I needed to go find that person that was thirsty or hungry. One of the things I would do is I would start with why, not just how. Too many of us want to know the nuts and bolts, the details and the how. And one of my most famous phrases that I love is by Viktor Frankl. He was in a Nazi prison camp. He wrote the book, Man's Search for Meaning, but he was one of the few that survived. And here's what he said. He said, if the why is strong enough, the how will come. So if your reason for, in his case, surviving the horrendous things that he did in that Nazi prison camp, long enough to survive and get out when most around him died, his desire to live and plans he had when he got out were greater and so great that he figured out the how to survive that season. So in our business, it's more important that you know why you're doing something than it is the details of the how. Because Tommy Newberry says if you understand your tomorrow, what you want, that why, the reason, then if you know your tomorrow, that'll change today, the behavior you'll do today, the how you'll implement that. Work hard and play harder. Get up, know what your big rocks are, get those done first. Get up and seize the day and get the big rocks done. I know some of you are not morning people. Most people that are morning people were not always morning people. They made a decision to get up, seize the day, get the important stuff done first so they could play. I love to play, but if I get up and work hard, that means I can play that much harder later in the day. And you'll find me doing that. Actually, that's where I find most of my amazing people that join me is in the midst of my play with amazing friends and people. It's where I get to take stolen moments and share them about what I'm doing and what my future looks like and what their future could look like. So work hard, play hard. How about this one? Here's another one I would teach my 20-year-old self, and that's measure life by moments, not just metrics. What if you totally measured your success by your paycheck, by the comma, the number of digits, and you didn't measure it by the number of lives you were impacting and the freedom your family had because you weren't in the rat race of a cubicle computer and a commute? Every time I get in Atlanta traffic, which I did for years, today I think about that must be where Prozac was invented. That must be where stress is at its highest level. What are all these people doing at 11 o'clock in the morning? You know, you think about that. And then I think, gosh, I'm so grateful that I'm in a business and I can measure my life, but I don't have to do this. I'm here because I wanted to and I wanted to go visit a friend, but I don't have to get up and do this every day. I know people that do. Don't trade hours for dollars. The financial planners and the stockbrokers of the world will tell you that you're going to fund your 401k and then one day you're going to retire and you'll have everything. I look back on the last years of my life with kids and now grandkids. What if I had been just deferring life until 10 years from now when the 401k popped open and I could do things? I probably couldn't climb in the deer stand. I couldn't ride the jet skis. I couldn't do a backflip off the boat. I couldn't do a lot of things that I've done throughout my life because I decided to make a life today, not defer the life till tomorrow. So I built a business that didn't require me to trade hours for dollars. I'll tell you one thing that I learned from Wendy Campbell, and she said it like this. She said, there are more kitchen tables than there are Sheratons. How do I process that in our business? Well, small rooms matter more than big stages. Getting more people, gathering more people to be with you at a kitchen table, at a place where they can open and be warm and open up to you at basically no cost, except maybe a few people grabbing some food, some drinks, and some cups to sit around and fellowship and talk together over something that's so important that could change their future. Someone told me leaders are readers. I believe that. Leaders are readers, but I also believe readers become leaders. Stay in a place where you're hungry to learn more. Don't ever think you've arrived. You know, today my subscription to Audible lets me listen to books when I can't have my eyes on the printed page. For years and years, all I could do was take time early in the morning, and I still get books out and my Bible out in the morning, but I love being able to run, to walk with a heavy vest, to be on the road somewhere and listening and having books and podcasts and things pour into me. That became important because I realized how much I didn't know, but I would make sure that my 20-year-old self knew that. Another thing, we all want to be comfortable, but you know what? Being comfortable is a bad goal. Creating a comfort zone and deciding to live there, you know what that means? You're just one step away from the stagnant pond. You want to be a river. You don't want to be a flood or that stagnant pond where the water just sits and does its own thing sitting there. You want to be the river that's headed towards the mouth in the ocean that has a destination, and it crafts and curves and changes the shapes of the land and the terrain because it has a powerful mission to go where it wants to go. You know, as I think back and I admire other leaders and other people, one of the things that I would tell my 20-year-old self is to live generously from day one. Don't wait until you accumulate a fortune to feel like you have something to give away. When God, you know, the scripture talks about I think it uses like the first fruits of your barn, you know, and you store up your harvest. Give back your first fruits to God. Give back your first fruits to those that are less fortunate than you are. Try giving and being generous in not just in what you do, what you give, but in your spirit. Have a spirit of generosity, not like, oh my gosh, I guess I ought to help this guy. No, this is so cool that I've got a business where I can help this person. I've got a business where I can participate in this ministry. I've got a business where I can take a week off and volunteer my time. It's not always a check. Sometimes it's just your time. One of the things that I've learned is later in life is that rest is the fuel for tomorrow. It's not the recovery from exhaustion. Learn to here's a tip, maybe you set your alarm clock for what time to go to bed instead of what time to wake up, because rest is the key to performing at a high level tomorrow. It's not do more today and collapse out of exhaustion. So I would learn that health is the real wealth. Things you eat, things you put in your body, exercise, moving, staying flexible. I would learn that early instead of ignoring it until it became an issue staring me in the face. Invest in relationships early. Sometimes I think when we start something new, there's the obvious things that stare us in the face. They could be tools you need, details, your learning curve. But in our business, there's not a lot of money you have to invest. You do need to manage your time and your calendar, but it's not giving up all of your time and your calendar. You can start very much part-time in our business. But the key is to be a steward over your relational capital. Invest in relationships early. Even if you invest in a lot of relationships that don't join you immediately, you know, it's after that fourth or fifth conversation that 80% of all sales are transacted. Don't think you're going to just have conversations and propose on the first date. Invest in those relationships. Bring value to the table. It'll pay off multiple dividends down the road. God bless. Have an amazing day, an amazing week, month, year, and let's build a life together that transcends multiple generations. Thanks.